if you're an entrepreneur, what are you? A risk taker. You cannot be an entrepreneur and not be a risk taker. Entrepreneur, risk taker, both. It's all in. Otherwise, don't get into entrepreneurship. A lot of people come to me with ideas and say, we want to do it. Give us the money and we do it. Put your money first. Show me that you care.
How did it come about for you? Where was the idea from? Obviously, the show's a franchise from around the world. But how did you get involved?
I got a call one day from Dubai TV and they said, we're doing Shark Tank. Are you interested? I knew what Shark Tank was, obviously. I wanted to know more about what are their plans in the Middle East. What are they trying to do? I called the guys and I said, who are the other sharks? And he started to tell me there's X, Y, Z. And I said, no, I'm not interested. I said, why? I want to be next to people I relate to.
Our guest today has gone on to build the most successful media conglomerate here in the UAE and then built a family office where he's invested in a number of companies. I can't wait to introduce to you the incredible, mega successful and quite funny guy, Elie Khouri. Talk to me about an industry that I care very much about, which is the industry of sales and the skill of sales.
Selling is the number one skill you need to have in life to succeed. Because if you don't know how to sell yourself, your ideas, your purpose, what you do in life, then you'll be completely insignificant in life. You can learn selling techniques if you are in a sales job, like pure sales job. If you're selling cars, if you're selling something, you can be trained to be a better salesman. You're here selling me your program, I'm selling you my brand. So there's always an exchange of something between people in any business. So selling is something you're born with.
Finally, Elie has made it to the studio. Thank you so much for coming to join us today, Elie.
Thank you for inviting me.
Or should I call you Shark Elie?
No, Elie. Keep it gentle.
In the UK, we have Dragon's Den. Here we have Shark Tank, and in the US. Today, I have a shark in my office, in my studio.
A friendly shark.
On Friday, I have a dragon in my studio.
Oh, really?
So I've got the sharks and the dragons from every angle. There's lots of stuff I want to talk to you about today, but obviously you've become famous in recent time for being on this television show here in the UAE called Shark Tank. I want to dive into your story, but I think most people that are listening will be able to identify you with that show. So could we just spend the first 5 minutes just talking about that quick?
About the show?
Yeah. How did it come about for you? Where was the idea from? And obviously the show's a franchise from around the world, but how did you get involved?
I got a call one day from somebody working in Dubai TV and they said, we're doing Shark Tank. Are you interested? So I knew what Shark Tank was, obviously. And I wanted to know more about what are their plans in the Middle East? What are they trying to do? I called the guys and I said, who are the other sharks? And he started to tell me there's Y, X, Y, Z. And I said, no, I'm not interested. I said, why? I said, I want to be next to people I relate to. So I kind of was a bit, if you like, bitchy in terms of knowing who the other sharks were.
You're a prima donna.
No, I mean, again, you want to be comfortable. Like we're having this chat, you want to be comfortable, challenging your colleagues, investing in things you believe in. So I like the idea. I'm typically not a very, camera friendly. I don't like the camera. I'm more shy, I'm more reserved as a person and, being out there and talking and presenting. But I felt this is an opportunity to, one, if you like, create a bridge between my previous life and my current life. I've always been known to be a marketing man, an advertising man, a media man. And I felt that in my new pivot, in my new career as what I'm doing today, this could be a nice bridge to the businessman, if you like. So I felt that was a nice thing to do and also giving back. Supporting entrepreneurs, supporting startups is something I like to do.
Now, you've filmed one series or two series?
3, actually.
3 series have been filmed. And have you been surprised by the quality of the entrepreneurs that have presented to you with their ideas and their businesses?
Surprised is what? Is a good positive surprise or that? Or a negative surprise? No, I want to be honest.
The truth is coming out.
I was disappointed by the quality of what was presented in the show. And I've always told the guys at Dubai TV that we can do better in terms of screening what comes onto the show. However, let's be pragmatic. It's a new show. Nobody knows what Shark Tank is. And a lot of people were not applying because they didn't know what was the program all about. So to give them some credit, the first 2 seasons was a bit slow in terms of attracting the great companies to come and pitch. So the problem was that we did not have the kind of talent that you have typically in Dubai, that would come onto the show and present solid ideas and things you would really want to invest in. So that was, if you like, the kind of disappointing thing that happened. But then over time, it got better and things, improved.
And in the third series, which is the latest series, did you found better quality?
Slightly better.
Slightly better.
However, we're still off, sorry to interrupt you, we're still off the global benchmarks, because typically when you have a show like this, you have 10 pitches, you select 2 of them, let's say, okay? And you invest in 2. And then after the show, from those 2, 1 survives. So the success rate of those that pass on TV is 50% globally. However, 50% is after years and years of, culture of Shark Tank. In the Middle East, the success rate after the show is somewhere between 10 and 15%. So of those 10 that go through the show, 10 of them really make it through to the end. After the due diligence, after discussions, after checking the numbers, after making sure what was promised on the show is exactly what the reality is. Which is low, but hopefully over time it's going to get better.
Well, actually, when you say that, I had Sarah Davies on the show. She's from Dragon's Den in the UK, and I asked her exactly that. We see on TV these people that have been accepted, but what percentage of the ones that have been accepted actually go through and the investment follows on? And she said 70% don't.
70% no. So yeah, 30%. Yeah. So yeah. So maybe UK, yeah. So globally, US is globally 50%.
Yeah.
UK is 30, we're 15. Which is fine.
But I think, I worked in Santa Monica a few years ago in pitch fest competitions where I was a judge. And so these organizations had a couple of days basically to practice and role play and get their pitch really good before they pitched. And then we would then judge them and give them the opportunity to invest. So in a similar way, but in a mini way. And I was staggered by how poor the presenting quality was of a lot of people. And there was one guy that presented, I'll never forget it. And I said to him, is there anybody else you know that might be able to pitch for you? Because I don't think you're ever going to get it. And he's like, but he was really into his product and he was really into the difference it was making and he could show that there was a revenue stream coming from it. So arguably the business idea on its own wasn't a bad business idea, but his ability to sell that idea to people to invest was almost non-existent. Do the people that come on the show here, do they get some training to present, or are they kind of like thrown into the lair almost?
I don't know exactly what they did, to be honest with you, because we don't know who's coming. As you know, it's completely blind. We sit there and people are thrown at us. But I want to say that the quality of presentations were really good.
Okay.
The guys were outspoken, they were articulate. Most of them, not all of them. You had some really funny ones. But they had charts, they had data, they had samples, they were confident. So that wasn't a problem here. It was more the quality of that was, the content, and, some leadership skills and some entrepreneurship skills that they didn't have.
Talk to me about an industry that I care very much about, which is the industry of sales. And the skill of sales and the role it plays in your career over the years. When I look at people that want to raise money for investment, they've got to sell their product or service and the investment opportunity. When people want to get a job in a company like this conglomerate that you built, they've got to sell themselves to get that job. I see so many people not taking the skill of sales seriously. And I believe it's one of the most important skills that anybody can have in business. How do you feel about it?
I agree with you that selling is the number one skill you need to have in life to succeed. Because if you don't know how to sell yourself, your ideas, your purpose, what you do in life, then you'll be completely insignificant in life, And selling, in my opinion, is not something you can learn. Selling techniques if you are in sales job, like pure sales job. If you're selling cars, if you're selling something, like you can be trained to be a better salesman. However, we all sell something. You're here selling me your program, I'm selling you my brand. So there's always an exchange of something between people in any business. So selling is something you're born with, in my opinion, and selling is charming. Selling is convincing. Selling is, having great energy, So I think selling is something innate in you that can be shaped over time, but it's something you have or not. If you're a boring person, if you're not interesting, if you don't have charisma, you're never going to sell me anything. You're going to be dull, and good luck. So go and take as many courses as you like. You're not going to do it. So I think the character has a big role in terms of what you can achieve in terms of selling.
And people use social media nowadays to try and sell themselves in different ways, and
Measurably so.
Yeah. And so much now has become so much more polished than it ever was, and so much more kind of overproduced than it ever was. I was talking to a real estate broker the other day that's one of these, very attractive and glamorous ladies that's trying to sell real estate through, being glamorous in elegant clothes, and and I showed her some videos of people that I thought were really good, and she said, yeah, but they're they're not well dressed and they're not this. I said, I know, they're so bad, they're believable. And that's what I like about them. They're producing content that is so boring, it's so honest and so kind of like straightforward that I find trust in that. I don't find trust in the lady with all the makeup on that's wearing the glamorous outfit saying, Bengati this or whatever it may be. Social media is this kind of this platform for people to be able to present themselves in a way that can be appealing to others, but they miss the mark so often because they don't know what's appealing to others.
I think there's a fine line, and it's a very important question what you're raising, because social media has become so fake. So, of course, with AI now, you don't even know what's real and what's fake. But keeping as AI aside, because that's a whole different story. Regular people, normal people are over made up, overdressed, fakey, happy, taking pictures of them on holiday, smiling, jumping when they have a miserable life. So you have a lot of fakeness in social media. And I think we became immune to that. And we know that this is fake, but we still enjoy it because we like the browsing, and we like to look at things, and we like to comment, and we like to laugh. But I think still, when it comes to selling, when it comes to brand, you still have to have a good way of putting that brand forward. And I take a recent example, the jeans campaign, American Eagle. I'm sure you've seen the whole drama around it, and whether, she had good jeans or whatever. We don't want to get into the racist part of it, but this is a typical example of somebody who looks good, who dressed well, and who was communicating values of attractiveness. And people still want to look at beautiful things. No matter what you do, you don't want to look at somebody's ugly. You want to look at somebody who is interesting to look at, right?
Yeah.
And I think we should not move away from this without overdoing it. Because when you overdo it, then it becomes too fake. Genuine, natural beauty is still required to sell something. And I've learned it in my advertising days.
Well, let's talk about that, because Omnicom is a business that you grew here in the UAE to be this behemoth of a company. You must be very proud of what you achieved.
I am, because at the time when we started Omnicom, we were a startup, but we didn't have the buzzword startup at the time. Now it's cool to say I'm a startup. So, any company you start from scratch is a startup, basically. And we started from scratch in 2000 with 8 people. And today we're over 1,000 people. We started with $20 million. Today we're over $1 billion. So you're proud of what you've done over the years. But of course, I didn't do it by myself. I was fortunate to be, working with amazing people, and it's a journey. So we've built it all together.
I want to talk about 2 parts. I want to talk about clients, and I want to talk about the team, because I think they're both really interesting. Can you remember the first client you landed?
I do. Funny, you can never forget the first client you land. I was giving clients at the beginning because I merged 3 companies in one. So I've been giving small clients, but the first clients I've won outside these was a car client, Peugeot. You're a French company. I still remember the client very well. I still remember the person very well. I know exactly the whole adventure. And when we won that client, it was a huge moment in the company.
Was it one of those getting in the car moments and driving home from work going, yes, yeah, that feeling, yeah?
Absolutely.
You didn't think you'd get it. And in terms of, just to give some kind of like bearings here, in terms of revenue, what kind of revenue was that first client for you? Was it?
That client was at the time, and I'm talking 2001.
Yeah.
That's
24 years ago.
24 years ago. I was a $10 million client, which was substantial at the time. Today, the same client would be more 40, 50 million, given the valuation of money and the value of money over time. So you're looking at that. It was a good, it was something that represented maybe 20% of the company's volume at the time.
And how many other organizations were competing for that client?
Always, I don't remember how many at the time, but always in any business pitch like that, you would have 4 or 5 competing. So it was our first test in terms of we can win clients on our own. And from there on, it was, the days of 2000, I've been here since 33 years, 34 years. I've seen Dubai grow like no other growth that you've seen in life between 2000 and 2008, when we had the correction globally. Every year we were growing by 40, 50%, which was phenomenal for any established business.
Yeah, any business. Yeah.
So, the growth was just, we couldn't cope. We couldn't cope with in terms of amount of resources you need to get on board to manage those businesses. So yeah, it was golden days.
And then talk to me about the other side of it, the people. And you said this a few times downstairs and in here about how great team is that you've had with you. But how hard has it been over the years to find really good quality people?
Actually, it's hard when it's at the same time it's easy. It's hard because what you need to do first is put the story of why they need to join you. You have to create the culture. You have to create the purpose. I've always advocated in my companies, you have 4 Ps, purpose first, people second, product third, profit fourth. You start with purpose. So when you do things right, when you put the culture first, when you establish why you're doing what you're doing, your mission and your goals and your ethics and your values and why you want to do what you want to do, and people will come. It's simple. When great people come, you have to keep them. And how do you keep them? By rewarding them, by giving them a tap on the back, by giving them more responsibilities as they grow. So, and, give them long-term incentives, because people want to make money. So if they give them a salary without bonuses or equity, then they would be compelled to look elsewhere. So it's a package deal. So convince them why they need to come, put the package in place, attract the best talent, and then keep them. And hopefully I've done that for over 25 years.
And here in Dubai, we have a very different type of workforce than I would if I was living in London, for example, because the predominant nationality would be British people. Here we have this melting pot of different nationalities. And I look at some companies and they struggle to kind of intertwine different cultures within their business. And, I noticed, where was I? I think it was Barclays Bank. I was doing an event with them and they had, 500 employees there. But the Indians were with the Indians and the Filipinos were the Filipinos and the Russians were, and so on and so forth. And it's like, it felt so sad to me. They weren't kind of like a gang together. They became these separate entities within this organization. Did you struggle with that at all?
I did. No matter what you say, no matter how great leader you are, you would struggle with this in Dubai, because you would have pockets of nationalities that don't necessarily gel together. And there's nothing you can do. You do your best in terms of having in the leadership team as much as you can diversity. And again, promoting diversity, not just having the gender diversity, but having also ethnic diversity. So you need to promote that at the senior level so that everybody feels that there's fairness in the system. Because if you put a certain nationality in the leadership team and everyone else is, underneath, then people say, it's not fair. So diversity in terms of different nationalities, and then you apply the best ways to create a culture, sustainability program, engage everyone to work together and collaborate together, and you get through. Is it 100%? No, but it's better than nothing.
And when you look at your career, we see you as an entrepreneur and you've done this amazing job building this really successful business. But when you actually, Elie, the guy, not the professional, but the guy, were there times along the way that you sat there wondering what on earth you were doing, if it was going to fall apart, if you could make it work? Did you have those times where you used to sit on the end of the bed, literally with your head in the hands, thinking how overwhelming all of it was? Or were you one of these guys that kind of took things in your stride?
Look, I've always tried to I always say the greatest strength you have is understand who you are, understand yourself, self-awareness. And I think we don't spend enough time to really understand who we are as human beings. Are we better at this, better in that, and accepting that we have certain strengths and weaknesses, and we should always capitalize on our strengths and then admit we have weaknesses and try to mitigate them or try to make them not interfere in your brand formation, because I always talk about we're all brands and we're all growing as brands. So I'm a hybrid between an entrepreneur and a corporate guy, but I think I'm more of an entrepreneur. And the reason I stayed in a company all these years, and I think I'm still involved in the company till now, so I would say 35 years in the same company, I stayed because they allowed me to be an entrepreneur within the corporate environment. So I was able to launch units, to give incentives, to come up with ideas that are outside what the company was offering. And they saw that as a way of creating vitality and creating energy within the company and creating that buzz and great place to work culture, because we were a great place to work. And that's why it was allowed to happen. But then when I started to feel that this is being diminished over time, so for instance, when the holding company acquired more shares in the local company, Omnicom in this particular case, I went to my team in the UK, and I was reporting to the UK, and I told them, guys, now you have majority. Before it was minority. Does it mean you're going to be involved more in the business? Am I going to report to you in a very corporate way?
Yeah.
I said, no, Elie, don't worry. It's going to be, you do your own thing. Just deliver the numbers, numbers. So I was happy, Do you want the numbers? I'll give you the numbers, but don't come and tell me what to do, I'll do my own thing. Of course, I did that for 10 years, but then, of course, corporate world, things change, people come, people go, and they start to like, okay, what we need to approve your salary increases, but we need to approve this, we need to approve that. Then it became a bit too boring. That's when I decided that, this is when it becomes less an entrepreneurship journey and more of a corporate journey. I'm not a corporate journey, I'm not a corporate kind of guy.
It's more.
I cannot justify, the corporate world is all about mitigate your costs, approve a travel, approve salary increases, approve bonuses, why you're spending this money. But then how you're making the money, they don't care, right? It's this hypocrisy. Make the money, Elie, but then when you spend some of it, we need to approve it, which is completely BS, as you know. So I can't relate to this. As I always said, hold me accountable to my bottom line, and I run the show. When the formula changed, then we move on.
Are you more like your mum or your dad?
Good question. I don't know, to be honest with you. I share their values. For sure, I share their values, but I'm different than my mom and dad. I mean, I come from a very modest background. My father was a cook, was a chef. So maybe I take from him his creativity, because cooking is about creativity. I take from my mom maybe loyalty, right? But from a career point of view, I don't take anything from them. I'm a bad cook, but I'm a loyal person. So from your parents, you always take the important thing, which is fundamentals and values and what you stand for, but then you shape yourself. So they give you the ingredients, the right formula, but then life shapes you, and then you have to make it. So I've completely started from scratch. I joined my first company. I did my MBA when I joined BBDO at the time in Cyprus. That was 88. They said, Elie, you will have account executive trainee. And I said, trainee on my title is like not cool, I have an MBA and I have, business and I have degrees. Zero experience, shut up. Take the title or leave. So I suck it up. I had my trainee on my business card for 6 months, and then I became junior account executive. So today people don't tolerate to stay too long, and so from trainee to junior to without the junior to senior to then then it was slow at the time. But you learn to be patient.
Who was the most inspirational person you ever worked for?
It was those days, actually. It was an American guy called Lance Demazi. Lance was the CEO of the company, and he was a brilliant guy, extremely cultured, extremely not a typical corporate person, but very open-minded. And he's the man who shaped me in my early days. I've worked with him for 3 years. So that was, again, ground for a lot of great things.
Just set the scene for me. How old were you when you started working for him?
When?
Well, what age were you when you started?
I was 22.
22. And you say you're in Cyprus?
Cyprus.
In Nicosia? Or?
Between Cyprus and transition to Dubai, because he moved to Dubai, and I moved to Dubai in 2021. So it was that period between 88 and 92.
And so you've got this guy that you're spending time with that you just like, you think because we're young and impressionable back then. He's like, this guy was really cool, and he
was super cool.
You just I want to be like him.
I want to be like him. I want to, he used to write those memos. Back in the days, we didn't have computers, of course. So we had typewriters. So we used to, as a, SPA, type those memos and circulate those memos by copying them and getting them on your desk. So we would wait for his memos. And every memo was a, case study of how to learn something, right? And I have another English person that was my immediate boss at the time, because I came from Beirut during the Civil War. I studied at AUB and, American University. My English was okay, but I've never worked with a British person, with a British accent. Coming from the war zone in Beirut to come to Cyprus, to Nicosia, with a British person was a challenge.
Yeah.
Because I was asking him to repeat the sentence 3 times, 4 times. And he was patient, but at the end he was saying, who's this guy you work? Get me somebody who would get on with me. So I've learned a lot from him as well.
Okay, folks, let's talk about real estate. Now, a recent partnership that we've just established on the podcast is with AYS Developers. Luxury properties with high-end finishes from people that really understand the subject. Often in Dubai, you'll find stuff that is maybe substandard. With AYS Developers, you're not going to see that. You're going to see fantastic properties that you can buy, you can invest in, you can make a home on Dubai Islands and other places too. So go visit aysdevelopers.ae and check them out. I promise you it'll be worth the trip. So do either of these two people know how much they inspired you?
They do.
They do.
The reason I make sure they do.
You do?
Yeah, I made sure, and I'm still connected with them.
Oh, that's beautiful. It was interesting. The reason I asked that is that the person that inspired me the most when I was young, I lost touch with him for 25, 30 years. And somebody here in Dubai contacted me one day and says, can you come and talk to me, please? I've got an opportunity for you. And I went and sat down with him, and he wanted me to do some work for him. And I'm like, how did you find out about me? And he said, I was told that I should definitely deal with you by a guy called David Schillingus. And I looked at him and froze. I was like, had David Schillingus? What, from the UK? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, David was my boss when I was 19. He said, I know. He's been following you for the last 20 years. He knows exactly what you're up to, and he's really proud of you. Oh man, I didn't know what to do. I froze on the spot. But anyway, I reached out to him and got in contact with him, and we had this phone call, and I sobbed my heart out on the phone call. I said, you've no idea what impact you had on my life. And it's like, I'm so proud of you, Spence. You've done so well. So that's the reason I asked that question.
No, with Lance, I kept contact, and I stayed, and he was in Dubai for a while. And I think what also was very emotional to me one day was he was giving an interview, and they were asking him, what is your, how do you know Elie, whatever. And he said something which was very touching, which is that my greatest achievement in life is having identified Elie, having recruited Elie, which was to me like, wow. It's like,
did he really?
Yeah, of course. And I called him and I said, thank you. It was like very flattering coming from him, because he was the one who interviewed me and he recruited me in the job, right? So for him, he was proud of my journey. And he said, that's my greatest achievement in life. And I said, wow. This is amazing.
That's incredible that someone would say that.
Yeah.
He really must have made it.
I was lucky. I mean, of course I wasn't, but let's say, I'll take it.
Well, it's beautiful. So whatever. Sometimes I think we forget a lot of the time, and we just kind of get on with life. And then when people say things like that, they stop you.
It's amazing.
This thing. You're just very grateful, aren't you? Tell me what kind of a role gratitude plays in your life.
Gratitude.
Does it play any type of role?
Every day. every day. I mean, I'm grateful for, all the people that supported me all my life, or my team, my kids, my, family, my friends. So, obviously, I think what we don't do enough of is saying thank you, to all these people. I think with life and fast-paced life we live in and all of these things, we don't spend quality time and enough time to really, appreciating, saying those thank yous. But deep down inside, of course, gratitude is there.
I believe that we have a big problem with mental health in the world at the moment. And by the year 2030, the Bupa and Allianz and Cigna are saying that as insurance companies, that there'll be more people claiming on their medical insurance for mental health issues than for physical health issues. And when I look at
more mental, more than physical,
which we know we're not too dissimilar in age, and for us that's just very strange and weird from the world that we came from. Where are all these mental health problems coming from? You're sad, roll your sleeves up, get stuck in. You're sad, go and get some ice cream and watch a movie and come to work tomorrow. It's like I think we struggle with understanding, well, I certainly do, with the different mental health challenges that exist for people. And so to see that evolution and to see that the insurance companies are saying they're going to be more claims for mental health than physical health just blows my mind. But then I say to myself, why do they exist? And we can blame social media for some parts of that. But I believe a lot of it is because people don't remember to be grateful. And they don't give themselves context. So I believe, for example, that if everybody volunteered once a month for half a day and saw people living a life that isn't quite as privileged as theirs, I think they'd maybe stop and think a little bit. If people were just kind to somebody else every day, you bought a coffee for the security guard or whatever it may be, and you experienced a bit of kindness, or every night you just sat down with your phone before you went to bed, and rather than scroll for another 5 or 10 minutes, you just wrote down the things you were grateful for that day. Maybe that
journaling, right?
Yeah.
So just
stopping the dramas that happen with people and their mental health challenges. I just think that can make a difference. And having a company with as many people as you've got working with you and growing another business now, these types of issues I think exist, and great leaders can identify that because they've been through tough times themselves and they understand this type of stuff.
Yeah, we've always supported mental health by, of course, doing certain programs within the company, but we also subsidize payments to doctors so that people get the encouragement to go to doctors and really seek help sometimes. Because I think historically people like you and I, with Generation X, right? You're X?
Old school, yeah.
Yeah, old school.
Not we've always said old as boomers, but yeah.
There's nothing wrong with me. Why should I seek mental advice? Speak to a shrink or to a doctor or somebody. Historically, that has been a taboo. And I think with today's generation, it's like normal, right? You have to, you leave your boyfriend, you have to speak about, you divorce, something you do, you need to have a check with a person to get some advice. And that has become a regular thing. And I think it's okay that we do it. And I think as much as you have physical problems, you have mental problems. We all have mental problems. So I think people are acknowledging more and more that it's okay to do so and to seek advice and to get help as well. And that's why over time, you're going to get more of these bills because the awareness is changing. And the Generation Y and millennials and centennials are people that believe in this much more than we did. So there will be that growth as well.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, so
I want to talk about your...
Have you seen a shrink before? Admit that?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, I did.
I saw one a few years ago. My dad took me to see one when I was going through a bit of a tough time, and it was very strange because you don't know what you should be saying and shouldn't be saying. It's like it didn't flow like I thought it would flow, but I didn't.
It seems you end up doing all the talking and they listen.
Yeah.
And then they ask you a question and then that's 1 hour. Okay, so you spoke, you just see it yourself, I think. But it's interesting.
But maybe guys are just like, I came for some solutions. Can you...
By yourself.
Here, can you give me a solution, please? Yeah. No, just keep talking. No, give me the answers. The world has evolved. You're a really successful business person. You've done so well here. The world has evolved very quickly in the time that we've been here. And now we've stepped into this whole AI world and they're saying industries are going to be destroyed and, definitely certain things are dead. You can build a website in 30 seconds with AI. You can do this, you can do that. How do you look at AI when it comes to Omnicom? How do you look at AI with your newer business as well? Is that something that excites you? Is it something that you think is overhyped? How do you see it?
Look, it's a very cool question, and everybody has an opinion about AI. Those who tell you it's going to destroy jobs, it's going to create jobs, blah blah blah. I think AI is an enabler. To me, I look at it as a way of enhancing and improving productivity in so many facets of life. Whether how you search, whether how you look at conducting your business, and improving life. So I'm not worried about AI taking over jobs, because we've seen it in the history of humanity, and how the industrial revolution, technology, we've been through all of that. The question is, AI will make you lose jobs, of course, but there will be other jobs created, and I think over time it will balance itself out. I think it's about the skill sets that we have to teach our future kids to learn and to develop are going to be different over time. So you're not going to be hopefully a lawyer. You're not going to study law, probably. You're not going to study certain things, but you can study certain things within AI that can, So the manual jobs, I think hospitality, F&B will not struggle. A plumber will always be a plumber. You want to always go and eat. So there's a lot of things that will not change, but certain things are going to be disrupted. And again, it's a buzzword. Everybody's investing in AI, but nobody's making money with AI. All the big companies today.
Unless you're competing.
Huh? Only NVIDIA, but that's more the chips. That's more the hardware. Keep the hardware aside, because NVIDIA will keep making money. But everybody buying NVIDIA, they all losing money. And we still don't know what business model is going to be out there that will sustain those companies. So my anticipation is that there's a lot of hype, and I think there's going to be a bubble that's going to burst eventually. And I think maybe down the line we'll find a way where AI is going to make money, because very few people are making money with AI. There's a lot of hype, but show me the money. How is it going to work?
I want to link that to your newer company, because I want everyone to understand what that business is, because I think it's fascinating, and there's some questions that will lead from there. So tell me about the company that you established. I think 2017 you established it, but 2020 it was when it really took off.
So I resigned in 2017 from my corporate job, and I remained the chairman, and I'm still the chairman, but honorary chairman till now. So I literally left my executive role in 2017. I set up my family office. Again, a lot of people say, what is a family office?
What is a family office?
No, I'm not going to give you the textbook, but I'll give you my version. It's a family office is a bunch of people running your life's work. What you've produced over your life in terms of assets, investments, things that you've done in your life, how they can help you put them together, structure them, make sense out of them, or killing them, or giving them shape and form based on your set of values and objectives, basically. So managing what you've done, what you've achieved in terms of net worth, value of value that you've created over time, and how you manage them in the long term, so that you leave them to your family in a good way, in a good shape, basically. So a family office is basically managing wealth, right? People that are specialized in different industries doing it according to certain textbook criteria. My family office, hopefully, because of my background, and again, a family office reflects the founder of the family office, the personality, what inspires you, what you like to invest in, what you like to do. So my family office is basically looking at alternative investing. So I don't want to invest in equities and treasuries like they used to, 60-40, and they tell you 70-30 formula. So it's more about the stuff that is more fun, right? While at the end making money, of course, but things we enjoy doing more.
For example?
Real estate, hospitality, design.
So when you
startups, investments,
okay,
entrepreneurship.
Well, that's interesting, because that spans quite a few areas. So when you talk about real estate and hospitality, would that mean hotels, restaurants, that kind of stuff?
Not restaurants, but hotels.
Hotel.
Why? Because I like hotels, not because there's nothing wrong with restaurants, but it's not for me, right? So real estate I've always done. Again, people tell me, how did you leave marketing, advertising to set up your family office? Of course it's not overnight, because I've been building my transition for a decade before I decided to leave. So before I resigned 2017, I had already for the last 10 years invested all my dividends and my bonuses and my whatever in investments in companies and startups and what have you. So but by 2017, those have matured. And all these investments were starting to pay back. So it made sense. So why? Because I like real estate.
Yeah.
I like hotels. I like design. I like to collect art. So I want to keep doing what I like to do. So you come and tell me, Elie, come and invest with me in a restaurant. I say, no, thank you. But Elie, you'll make 30% per year. I'm not interested, right? It's not what makes you money. It's what keeps you going. And at the end, make sure you keep some money. You make some money, obviously. But first is the enjoyment, right? So, and then is about the return.
You've invested in some startups.
Always do.
Okay. Steak is
one of
one
them.
of those businesses. And obviously we got to know each other from Steak all that time ago.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
We looked at Steak at the beginning, and lots of people were saying it wasn't going to work at the beginning. And obviously the guys have been fantastic and done a great job. And, you know, we both know them and they're fantastic humans as well. They've gone on to build a successful company, kept raising capital as well, gone into Saudi Arabia. So when
you follow them, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I work out with Rami sometimes as well. So.
When we invested, the valuation was, I think, 8 million, or, you know, early stage was 8 million. I think they're doing their now Series B at 250 million. And that's a span of what, 3 years?
Mm-hmm.
3 or 4 years? I think 3 years. Phenomenal. Right?
Yeah.
You're doing 25x your money. I don't know. I don't want to do the math, but, you know, where do you do 20x plus in 3 to 4 years? It's hard. But then again, not every investment you do or I did those things, did those returns. A lot of them went bust. It's normal. Some made 2 times the money. Some are still giving you some yield, some, you know, dividends. So there's a bunch of things. It's like when you invest directly in companies, you create like a mini VC, like a fund. So typically in a fund, you have 1 or 2 that really make it, like Steak. Some survive and the others, you know, collapse.
But I want to talk about that, because I think that a lot of people, you know, everyone's got a story of where they did it wrong, but not everyone's got a story of how they did it right. And if I look back at my investing journey, I've invested in some howlers, and like some real howlers. And I look back on it now, and the truth is, I only have myself to blame. There was either,
but you learn. That's how you learn. No?
Absolutely. I either didn't pay as much attention to what I needed to, or I overlooked, or I was romanced into some things. And you'll smile because I'm sure you've been there too. But when you look at your best and your worst, okay, investment in startups, what was your best one and what was your worst one? Is Steak probably your best one? That's a really successful.
The best one is at Steak. I mean, invested. No, the best one is something else. If you only talk about it, Sotheby's Real Estate.
Okay,
I mean, it's not a tech company; it's a brick and mortar company. So
my
partner and I invested in Sotheby's. We took the franchise of Sotheby's Realty 11 years ago in Dubai.
Yeah.
And let's say it's George. You know George.
Yes.
George, my friend and partner. So we started this together. I mean, he's leading the company. So I was supporting him in the early days of the company, but now he's completely on his own. So I invested with him, right? He came to me with an idea. Elie, let's do this. In 5 seconds, I said, I'm on board. We've invested kind of substantial amounts at the time. So we got back our investment after 7 years, which was slow. So typically you would look at 4 or 5 years return. Yeah. So it was 7 years. However, in the last 4 years, if I calculate the amount of investment we made and the return and the valuation of the company, I think we're looking at over 100x.
Wow. Phenomenal.
Easy.
For a real estate brokerage.
Yeah, over 100. So that was the biggest and the most successful investment I made. Why? Because we were one team. We share the same way of looking at things. He's a great guy. He's running the show. I'm here when he needs me, and we understand one another. And it was the right idea at the right time. So you need execution. You need the people to execute. You need timing, and you need the right idea. So all of this happened for Sotheby's. Steak in the tech space is my second example. Why? And again, you always go back. It's about people, you know. So, not the idea, not the business plan, not when are you doing it. It's about you. It's about who's doing it.
And when you think about both those decisions, they're quite bold decisions. I know you say you made them quite easily, but all those years ago, buying a real estate brokerage franchise when the market wasn't flying, okay, because it wasn't, and no one really knew, because we've been here through the time that this boomed and busted. So when people would say, exactly,
that's money.
Me too. Yeah, exactly. It's like, and through that period, because someone said to me one day, "You're actually one of the worst people to invest in Dubai real estate." And I'm like, "Why?" They said, "Because you've been through the pain, so you have the fear." Anyone investing kind of in today's day and age in the last 4 or 5 years, they didn't have the pain. They never suffered what you suffered, so they don't fear what you fear could happen again. And I thought that was a really interesting perspective.
That's knowledge and experience. It's not pain. I mean, it's pain, but you've learned a lot. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I mean, you said bold decisions. I think if you're an entrepreneur, what are you? A risk taker. I mean, if you cannot be an entrepreneur and not be a risk taker. Otherwise, forget it. They don't go, they always hand in hand. Entrepreneur, risk taker, bold. You go, it's all in, right? Otherwise, you don't do it. Otherwise, don't get into entrepreneurship. A lot of people come to me with ideas and say, "We want to do it. Give us the money and we do it." Say, "No, show me. Put your money first. Show me that you have, skin in the game. You put your money and I come in with you. Show me that you care." So if you don't, entrepreneurs who come in, with, "I have an idea, give me the money," doesn't work. They have to show their sweat and tears. They have to work for free. They have to really work hard. They have to put some of their family money, some of their own money. It's important.
Were you ever exposed to the opportunity to invest in Beirut as Beirut was raising capital?
Beirut was raising capital. I was exposed to it, actually. You're right.
BNPG, yeah, they were cool.
I did not I don't remember the reason. I think it was more a board confusion. I think it was related to the human side of things. When I don't agree with the people running the show, when I think there are too many cooks running the show, and I know that there's no one leader or one voice, I'm a voice. I think Beirut was one of them.
It's interesting when they raised their money. Three brothers. Dad was a policeman, so they both funded themselves. One went to MIT, one Oxford, one Cambridge. They worked. If you've been to Piccadilly Circus in London, where the neon signs are, underneath the neon sign is a Boots chemist, and two of the brothers worked in Boots, the chemist, while they were paying for their studies. But those guys, literally 100 pitches to 100 different events, companies, whatever it may be. No one interested. And then somebody contacted them that had been at one of the events like a few months later. I said, "I was at that event before. I'd like to talk to you." And that's where they raised their first money. And I'm like, "What mistakes did you make?" They said, "We didn't have a clue what we were doing. So we didn't know who we were talking to. We knew we had something, but we didn't know how to explain it. We didn't know how to present it. We didn't have to, to do that." They were smart guys. And I love those types of journeys, when people, because people like you, when a startup's there, they're willing to listen and willing to potentially invest. And when you do invest, the feeling that startup and the owners of that startup have is just electric.
Yeah.
At last we've unleashed some cash, so we can start doing some stuff with, and someone believes in us. That guy Elie, he believes in us. It's like the feeling. How many startups have you invested in?
Oh,
approximately.
I don't know, maybe throughout my life, at least 30.
30
at least.
And how many were howlers?
20. Oh my. No, I'm not that. Maybe half of them. No, I mean, some of them, you get some of the money back, all of the money back. But again, early days, you make a lot of mistakes. But recently, I mean, as over time, you bet more on winners. So, I mean, again, go to any VC. They invest in 20 companies, 2 make it, 5 survive, the rest are completely losers. And it's the law of life, My kids came to me one day, we have this brilliant idea, they were sitting in the UK during COVID. We want to launch our chocolate brands, chocolate brands. In the UK, it's like,
Really?
However, they want to do it. It's a great idea, organic, bean to bar, blah, all this nice stuff. So yeah, absolutely. Daddy, can you finance us? Okay, what's the budget? Very small budget. They're very, very, cost conscious. So I gave them the money. I said, one of them said, so how much you think is, how confident are you in our success? We're your daughters. I told them, 99.99, you're going to fail. I said, why you give us the money? It's insane. So I'm giving you, it's like, paying for your MBA. So this is kind of something that will help you learn how to launch a business. But most likely you will fail, but it's okay to fail. And they were like shocked. You give us money for us to fail. But this is the price of, learning and growing in life, especially in entrepreneurship. And, the startup founders that succeed are those who failed once or twice before.
What was the name of that serial investor? He said he will only invest in a founder that's failed once already.
Yeah.
He won't invest in someone that hasn't failed yet because they don't know what they haven't had the experience.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really valid point,
But that's safer. That's taking the safe approach. Sometimes you have to bet on people that haven't failed before, like in a big way.
Do you get seduced by people's dreams and ambitions, or are you specifically focused on facts, figures, data before you make any type of decision? Or have you ever been kind of almost wooed by someone and invested because you've been romanced by the idea and thought that's going to work without really knowing the numbers?
Yeah, I'm always romanced not by the idea, by the people. I mean, I always look at people and I say, in 1 minute I can know whether they're winners or losers. And I've always divided people in those two buckets. Winners, losers. And winners, if they have an idea, you invest in them. And if you know how to, spot the right people, you make it in life. I think the biggest challenge for people is judgment. Is about who's right and who's wrong, and is this a good person or this is a bad person, and would that person succeed or not? I think that judgment call is a very important skill, and very few people have it.
And do you, when you make your decisions, have a team of people around you nowadays that sit and work through the process together? Or are you kind of like bullish and gung-ho and say, guys, we're going to do this, we're going to get involved in this, find out what you need to find out?
But both.
Really?
No, because it's something you feel strongly about. Like you kind of, again, when you're talking about selling, you kind of convince them by charming them that this is a good idea in a good way. And there's also a way of following a protocol of, committees and, studies and analysis. And in a family office, we're doing less and less startups because now we're investing in bigger things that require much more focus in terms of building businesses. So we're investing in the hospitality brand, which is a global brand, which, it's brick and mortar. It's not tech. It requires time and effort, and a design brand. So these are really big businesses. So we're putting our money in our own ideas, right? Less in those startups that will require a long time to mature. People invest in startups, but they don't know that this is a 10-year investment, at least, for you to get some money back, if you're lucky.
Yeah.
People, say it's cool, etc., but you have to be ready to wait 10 to 15 years to get some money back. And, if you get something back, right? So do I have the patience now to wait 10 years? I don't, to be honest with you, given my age.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to see faster results. I want to see things that I can touch in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Beyond 4 years, I don't want to wait anymore. I've done it before. But now, as you grow older, as you've done many things, I want to see something much faster.
Do you think that retirement is a word that sits well with you, or do you think you'll always work?
I think it's a word which has become cliche that we should abolish. I think retirement is equal to death. I don't think anybody should retire. I think what you need to do is constantly pivot, constantly do different things as you age, different things that will require some physical activity and some mental activity. But if you stop doing either of those two, you die, literally. And I think retirement should never exist as a word. I'm so much against that word. I think we should replace it, because that's the European mentality of, if you're in a public sector, you leave the public sector, you get your pension, and you sit home, or you go to Spain, or you go to Bali, and you sit and you look at the ocean. But what happens in reality, 5 years later, you're dead, You've enjoyed it, but what's happened? So we should constantly be thinking, working, producing, adding value, inspiring your life. Otherwise, what's the whole purpose?
Yeah, absolutely.
Has it been too harsh on this?
No, but I think you're right. I can't imagine. I look at my dad. My dad's 80 years old now, and he just retired 2 or 3 years ago. But sold his businesses, and it was like, right now I'm done, and I haven't got the energy anymore, Spence. And he lives in a house in England where he lives opposite a cricket pitch, and he has above his garages he has this terrace, and he has the chair and table up there, and he watches the cricket. And I'm like, Dad, go and watch the cricket over at the park. He's like, I've got an elevated view. I can sit here. It's very nice. The sun shines. I'm very happy. And he drives his Land Rover around the mountains and stuff. And he's got his kind of like 5 buddies, and they all wear Wellington boots, and they go out and do the same thing. And I'm like, as long as you're happy, okay. He's had some health issues, but I look at my wife's father, and he now every week, twice a week, lectures at university. He teaches entrepreneurship. And that's what his way of giving back, and he's busy doing that.
Do something. It's not for the money. It's for you to be productive.
Yeah.
It's for you to be useful.
Talk to me about what the word success means to you.
Success has so many facets, but to me, success is achieving, is creating, is coming up with something new. Success is about innovating. It's not about making money. A lot of people classify it as personal success. Can be family, can be succeeding in a job, making money, making $1 million, making $1 billion. But to me, it's about constant creation and constant achievement, perpetual. That's success. When I stop producing and creating and innovating and adding value, I lose my success, basically.
A lot of young people, and I'm sure we did when we were young as well, a lot of young people measure success with money. And how much money somebody makes is to make them a more successful person. And I back then, I'm sure I did that myself to some degree. But when I look at success now, it's people that have made a difference, people that have made impact.
Because money comes, because if you focus on making money, you don't make money. Focus on building, focus on impacting people's life, focusing on helping others succeed. That's when you make money, honestly.
I think
it's been proven.
I think I spent a bit of time focusing on losing money, and that worked.
No, and when it comes to investing, you can lose money. But at the end of the day, in the long term, if you're wise enough, you can make money. But not everybody makes money. It's normal in life.
No, and
it's okay. It's okay.
But I also don't think money suits everybody.
Yeah,
I think there are things in life that some people value that other people couldn't give two hoots about, and they value other things. So
I'm always shocked by the statistics, which is 1% of the population globally of the world, 1%. The top 1% make how much per year?
Yeah, they make
$35,000.
Yeah. Oh, the top one? No.
The top 1%.
The top 1% of income earners globally
is $35,000 a year. Imagine. Okay.
Go on.
I could be wrong statistically, but I've read this somewhere and I've seen it somewhere. If globally, certain countries, it varies in certain countries.
Yeah.
But 1% of all of us, 8 billion people, the top 1% is $35,000.
$35,000 and above.
So you can imagine how hard it is to make money. It's hard, right? But if you don't, it's fine. Not everybody is made to make money. Some people are made to work in social environment, to be people who do 9 to 5, who go to work, be good family members, be good in society. C'est la vie. It's okay.
Hey, I made a documentary, and in that documentary there were 2 ladies, Maria Conceição, who's here in Dubai, that has saved 670 children from the slums of Dhaka in Bangladesh, brought them here, got them educated and given them a future. She gave her whole life up for that. That's real success to me, Has she got a penny? No. Okay, but it doesn't matter to her. I met a girl in Nepal called Hanabadi, that in the village that she grew up in, every child at the age of 8 had to become a prostitute so that everyone could eat. And she ran away, and she took 700 of those girls away and built a school, raised money for charity. Has she got any money? No, but a success story. When I'm sitting there with the president of the country and the president's praising her on camera, I start to look at success very differently. And so, To me, I think an element of success that we forget is your kindness, the way you treat people.
Absolutely, that's an important. We talk about leadership. An important criteria of leaders is caring. They say the first most important thing is about being a caring person, because this is when people trust you at the end of the day. But going back to, we talk about adding value. Again, success is about adding value. If you don't add value in life, you're useless. in couples, right? I always tell people, couples, friends come to me and I say, what do you think? How is this going to work between us? And I always say, if you add value to her and she adds value to you, you will make it. Then one of you stops adding value, it's going to collapse. And you have to define what is that value that you want, that makes you happy, that she gives you or you give her, right?
Yeah.
And the business is the same way. If you have partners that one is not adding value, it's going to collapse. So, and as human beings, if we don't add value, then we don't exist. Then we're like a burden on society, right? So let's go and add value.
Let's imagine we've got a bunch of guys coming to you looking to raise money. You've probably had people pitch you that really shouldn't be pitching you, or people that have pitched you that you've gone, guys, you're getting it all wrong. So if I was coming today to pitch you with my business idea, okay, I'd written my business plan, I've got my pitch deck together, what are three pieces of advice do you think you should give me before I even start?
Before you start, if you're coming on your own, the first question I'd ask you is that why are you alone, right? So who's your team? So I always like to invest in not just one person, I like to invest in a team. Because being a startup, being a new company is a hard work, and you need a lot of people to help you. And you don't have necessarily the set of skills on your own to succeed. So I always go back to people doing startups to say, who is your partner? You should be at least 2 or 3 starting a company. So I always go back to a team. Show me the team. I want the team to be equally invested in the company as much as you are. I want them to have equity in the company, to have a skin in the game in this company long term. So 2 or 3 with equity partners in the company. Number 1. Okay. 2, complementary skills. I don't want you to have conflicting skills so that you overlap and compete and confuse the people working with you or the investors. They should have complementary skills to build this company together. 3, of course, they have to be amazing people. It goes without saying, the quality of the people. 3, you have to have the ability to charm people to invest in your company. Because at the end of the day, everybody has ideas. Everybody has ideas, but not everybody can execute those ideas. So you have to be able to convince investors to come on the journey with you. Because without those investors, you cannot go far. And every step of the way from pre-seed to seed to pre-series A to A, you have to always constantly go back to investors and raise money. Because for you to make money, you're going to be after Series B. And you need to have enough, food on the table for your company, for your employees. So the ability to raise funds and to attract capital from the investors.
Okay, great. Excellent stuff. I've got 2 more questions. Okay, then we're done. Can you share a failure that ended up being one of your biggest growth moments and how you've reframed it to move forward?
Oh, a failure. Yeah, I don't know if I want to say failure because we go through many failures in life. But one of the biggest challenges for me when I pivoted, again, my life has been a series of pivots. And in every pivot you go through this, am I going to make it? It's like, discomfort. One of them was when I pivoted from advertising to media. And I knew nothing about media, zero, honestly. I still, till now, I don't know how to run Excel. I don't know how to use Excel. Media is about numbers, obviously. So I was running a media company without knowing how to use Excel, without knowing what is media all about. So I had to rely on people to, of course, to do the job, and I had to guide them through the business case of how to run a media company. So if you like, my failure was to really grasp quickly, what would it take to get those people on board quickly for me to succeed. I think that was, if you like, one of the discomforting parts of my career when I pivoted from advertising to media. But then it took me a while, but then obviously.
Interesting. Okay, last question for you. If you could sit down with the 25-year-old Elie Khouri today, what's the one piece of advice you'd give him?
It's kind of, I don't want to give you the cliche answer, which is do exactly what I've done, which is kind of, I've done very well. The 25 Elie Khouri, I would say, stay hungry. People that make it in life are those that are driven, that are hungry, that make a difference. And I say these are the most important things.
Elie, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. It's been a great pleasure talking to you today. I really do appreciate your time. And you are clearly a very successful man that's made in Dubai.
Thank you very much. It was fun. I wish we can talk a bit more because I have lots of more stories, but we'll do it maybe part 2. Thank you for the opportunity.
This episode is proudly sponsored by Allsop & Allsop Mortgage Brokers, the leaders in Dubai real estate. Whether you're a first-time buyer, a seasoned investor, or looking to refinance, Allsop & Allsop's dedicated mortgage team will expertly guide you every step of the way, ensuring a seamless and stress-free journey. Now, with over 16 years of experience, they offer exclusive access to the UAE's best rates, personalized advice, and tailored financing solutions that perfectly suit your needs, leaving you free to focus on finding your dream home. And that's what we want. Experience the difference with Allsop & Allsop, your trusted partner in securing the perfect mortgage solution.